Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Markets on Wednesday, the 6th of May. Firstly, apologies for the video quality this morning. It's exceptionally bright here this morning. The sun is on my back at this point, and hence the video was looking rather dull or shadowy this morning, so apologies for that. Turning now to what we discussed this morning as an investment team, we looked at the performance of markets overnight in Asia, where we have seen a mixed performance. Some of that is due to a number of the markets being closed at the beginning of the week and then just playing catch up. Some have also suggested that it's a focus on the negative comments from a number of the Fed board members overnight. I think that's maybe a bit disingenuous when you take a step back and you look at what the two Fed members were discussing. Actually, I think they were really balanced in their discussion. Yes, acknowledging the challenges that the economies face at this point in time, but then also pointing to the measures that central banks, governments have taken from a fiscal perspective to support economies through this sudden stop, and that should, all else being equal, ensure or help provide a better second half of this year and a stronger 2021. So I suppose balanced doesn't really grab the headline. You need to focus on the negative, and I think that's what the media is doing there. The other thing that we discussed this morning was the ruling from the German Constitutional Court yesterday and the impact that has for the ECB. Two things to take away from that. One, the Constitutional Court agreed that the bond buying programs from the ECB were legal. That's obviously a clear positive. The second aspect, however, is slightly more challenging, that they wanted guidance or a rationale that what was happening was proportionate. And that's maybe slightly more challenging given that the ECB bond buying programme today is unlimited. So it is difficult then to suggest how one defines proportionality. But that's something for the politicians and the lawyers to work their way through. What can we say? Christine Lagarde, as president of the ECB, is a very shrewd political operator. She's going to require that at this point in time, just given the challenges within the Eurozone. Why is this important? It just exacerbates the cost of funding for those countries that are slightly more challenged. Within that, I mean Italy. So if we look overnight, the spread difference between Italian 10-year paper and German 10-year paper, it's 2.5%. That just gives you an indication of the challenges and the funding differences that are available or challenged within the Eurozone at this point in time. The other thing that we discussed this morning was just the ongoing earnings reports coming out of both the US and Europe. What can we say there? I think between 20 and 30% of companies, if we look at the S&P 500, the Eurostock 600, have withdrawn guidance. So that gives you an indication of just the uncertainty that companies are facing. I think the other couple of things that I've taken away from the reports is the real focus on balance sheets and capital management. So companies reducing dividends, share buybacks, and changing their capital expenditure programs, all focused on retaining capital, i.e. cash on their balance sheet. And then secondly, just the resilience of some of the business models and the contrast that we're seeing between online and hard retail business models. So real contrast there, and something that, yes, we've all observed ongoing for a number of years, but potentially being accelerated because of what we're experiencing at the moment from COVID-19 and the various lockdowns. The other thing that we touched on is just the push and pull at the market at the moment, and sort of this very fine line that the market's treading between the optimism on how economies start to reopen and activity resumes, but also how we just navigate our way through any spikes in COVID-19 cases as economies do open. And that's something that we'll just have to watch and observe how that impacts markets and asset markets over the coming weeks. I think the other final thing just to say is that we've continued to see some businesses return to normal. For anybody that's a big Netflix fan at this point in time, we've started to see and hear that they will be resuming production in a number of their countries as they navigate their way through lockdown. So just gives an indication that whilst we're experiencing lockdown, things are gradually starting to recover in certain parts of the globe. That's it for today. Please join me again tomorrow. Thank you.